The struggle for clear thinking. Have you ever found yourself stuck in a situation, unsure of what to do next? You know there are decisions to be made, but you're paralyzed by confusion, doubt, or the overwhelming noise around you. We've all been there, whether in our personal lives, at work, or when faced with important life choices. The world is full of distractions, emotions, and external pressures. And in the midst of all this, it's easy to lose clarity. But what if there was a way to think more clearly, to make better decisions, and to find a sense of peace in the chaos of modern life? What if you could step back, assess the situation with calm, and choose the best course of action, no matter how uncertain the world around you seems? This is where Stoicism, the ancient Greek philosophy, can help. Stoicism isn't about cold detachment or avoiding emotions. It's about gaining the mental discipline to think clearly, detach from external distractions, and make decisions that align with your true values. It's about mastering your own mind in a world that constantly tries to control you. In this video, we'll explore how you can apply Stoic principles to think more clearly, make better decisions, and ultimately lead a more intentional and fulfilling life. By the end of this video, you'll have practical tools to stop living on autopilot, break free from reactive decision-making, and take charge of your life with confidence. The illusion of control. Why you're not thinking clearly. Let's start by looking at the first obstacle that prevents most of us from thinking clearly: the illusion of control. We live in a world that encourages us to control everything. Whether it's our careers, our relationships, or our personal goals, society tells us that control is the key to success. But the truth is, we can't control everything. We can't control how others behave, how the economy fluctuates, or how the world unfolds. And yet, we often try to control these things, which only leads to frustration and stress. The Stoics understood this fundamental truth. The only thing we can truly control is ourselves. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." When we try to control things outside our control, we waste energy, time, and mental clarity. Instead of focusing on what we can influence, our thoughts, reactions, and decisions, we get caught up in trying to control the uncontrollable. The key to thinking clearly is understanding what is within our control. When we focus on our own actions and responses, rather than external circumstances, we free ourselves from unnecessary stress and confusion. This is the essence of Stoicism. We can't control the world around us, but we can control how we engage with it. The Stoic mindset, thinking with clarity. Now, let's shift gears and explore how the Stoics developed their mindset for clear thinking. The Stoics believed that in order to make good decisions, we must first have control over our minds. This means distancing ourselves from the emotional reactions and mental noise that often cloud our judgment. At the core of Stoicism is the idea of rational thought. The Stoics taught that emotions are not inherently bad, but it's how we react to them that can lead to poor decision-making. Epictetus, a prominent Stoic philosopher, famously said, "It's not things that disturb us, but our judgments about them." This insight is incredibly powerful. It means that our emotions aren't the problem. It's our interpretation of events that creates distress. If we can learn to detach from our automatic emotional reactions and think rationally about what's happening, we can make much better decisions. In the modern world, we are constantly bombarded with external stimuli, news, social media, conversations, and distractions that trigger emotional reactions. We often make decisions quickly, based on how we feel in the moment, rather than taking a step back to assess the situation clearly. Stoicism teaches us to pause, reflect, and challenge our immediate emotional responses before making decisions. The power of pause, slowing down to think clearly. One of the most powerful practices for clear thinking is simply slowing down. In a world that values speed and efficiency, it's easy to rush through decisions, hoping to get them over with as quickly as possible. But in doing so, we often overlook important details, make impulsive choices, and act out of fear or urgency rather than wisdom. The Stoics encouraged us to slow down and take a moment to pause before reacting. This doesn't mean avoiding decisions, but rather giving ourselves the space to reflect. This practice is essential for clear thinking. When you face a difficult decision, take a deep breath. Step back from the situation and ask yourself some key questions. What are the facts here? What am I assuming about this situation? What is within my control, and what isn't? How can I respond in a way that aligns with my values? By taking a moment to pause and reflect, you allow your mind to move from reaction to thoughtful action. You start making decisions from a place of clarity, not fear, emotion, or urgency. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, often reminded himself to practice this pause, writing, "Stop yourself, take a moment, and ask what is in your control." This is where true decision-making begins, with mindfulness, presence, and the courage to slow down in a fast-paced world. Emotional clarity, understanding the role of emotions. One of the most common misconceptions about Stoicism is that it advocates for suppressing emotions. In reality, the Stoics didn't teach us to ignore or eliminate emotions, but rather to understand them. They believed that emotions are a natural part of the human experience, but it's how we react to them that matters. The Stoics viewed emotions as signals, information about our beliefs, values, and perceptions. However, they also believed that emotions should not dictate our actions. Instead, emotions should be examined, questioned, and used to inform our decisions, not control them. When you're making a decision, take the time to reflect on your emotional response. Ask yourself, why am I feeling this way? What belief or assumption is fueling this emotion? Is this emotional reaction based on facts or assumptions? By doing so, you can begin to separate your emotional reactions from your logical thinking. You don't need to suppress your feelings, but you can learn to recognize them for what they are: signals, not directives. This is the key to emotional clarity. The Stoics understood that by acknowledging our emotions without letting them control us, we can make decisions that are not only rational, but also aligned with our deeper values. Understanding values, the key to decision-making. The role of values in clear decision-making. In a world filled with distractions and external pressures, one of the most important tools for clear thinking is understanding your core values. When you know what truly matters to you, your decisions become easier, more aligned with who you are, and much more effective. The Stoics believed that our decisions should be guided by virtue and reason. This means that we should align our actions with our deepest values: integrity, wisdom, courage, and justice. By knowing what we stand for, we make decisions that are not only clearer, but also more consistent with our true selves. Think about the decisions you've made in your life. How many times have you struggled with a choice because you weren't sure what you really wanted, or because you were influenced by external opinions? When you don't have a solid foundation of values, it's easy to become swayed by the opinions and pressures of others. The Stoics encouraged us to practice self-awareness by identifying our values and reflecting on them regularly. When we make decisions based on our core beliefs, we eliminate much of the internal conflict and confusion that can arise from trying to meet external expectations. As Marcus Aurelius said, "Be not what you seem to be, but be what you are." This quote reflects the Stoic view that we should live authentically, according to our true values, rather than bending to external influences. Once you identify your values, you can use them as a compass to guide your decisions and bring clarity to your life. Rationality over emotion. The Stoics believed that our ability to make clear, rational decisions is hindered when we allow emotions to take control. They didn't advise suppressing emotions, but they understood that emotions, if not managed, can cloud judgment. Emotions often arise from irrational beliefs, assumptions, and fears. When we're in an emotional state, we are more likely to react impulsively and make decisions based on temporary feelings rather than long-term wisdom. To make better decisions, the Stoics taught us to cultivate rationality. This means thinking critically and objectively about the situation at hand, detaching from emotional impulses, and focusing on the facts. Rational thinking allows us to see beyond immediate emotional reactions and consider the long-term consequences of our actions. When faced with a decision, take a moment to separate your emotional response from your rational mind. Ask yourself, what is the objective truth of this situation? What long-term consequences will my decision have? Is my emotional reaction based on facts, or is it influenced by fear, pride, or insecurity? By taking a step back and applying reason to your decisions, you will find that your choices are clearer, more deliberate, and more aligned with your true values. Practicing the art of deliberation. Slow and thoughtful decisions. The danger of hasty decisions. Why slow thinking is better. In today's fast-paced world, we are often encouraged to make quick decisions. We're told to act decisively, to move fast, and to seize opportunities without hesitation. While there is certainly value in decisiveness, the Stoics cautioned against the dangers of haste. When we rush to make decisions, we often overlook important details, fail to consider alternative perspectives, and act out of impulse rather than wisdom. Hasty decisions are frequently driven by emotions like fear, urgency, or excitement, which can cloud our judgment. The Stoics believed that taking the time to deliberate, slowing down and carefully weighing our options, was the key to making sound decisions. Seneca, a leading Stoic philosopher, warned against making impulsive choices, stating, "Time will pass, but it's better to make a decision with patience than to act hastily and regret it later." This advice is particularly relevant today, when we're surrounded by constant distractions and pressure to act quickly. The Stoic approach encourages us to slow down, take a breath, and give ourselves the space to think through our decisions with clarity. Rather than jumping to conclusions or reacting impulsively, we should give careful consideration to the potential outcomes of our choices. One of the most powerful practices for clear thinking is the simple act of pausing before making a decision. The Stoics encouraged reflection and introspection as a way to ensure that our decisions are made from a place of reason, not impulsive emotion. When you're faced with a decision, take a moment to pause and reflect. Use this time to ask yourself the following questions. What is truly important in this situation? What is my ultimate goal, and how does this decision align with it? Am I reacting to fear or anxiety, or am I responding with reason and clarity? What would a wise person do in this situation? Taking this brief pause allows you to shift from reaction to thoughtful action. It gives you the space to consider all aspects of the situation, evaluate your options, and make a more informed choice. By incorporating this practice into your decision-making process, you'll find that your choices are clearer and more aligned with your values. One effective Stoic practice for improving clarity in decision-making is journaling. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher king, is known for his meditations, which were essentially personal reflections he wrote to himself. These writings helped him sort through his thoughts, gain perspective on his emotions, and make better decisions. Stoic journaling is a powerful tool for gaining clarity and improving your decision-making process. Here's how you can incorporate Stoic journaling into your routine. Daily reflections. Take time at the end of each day to reflect on your decisions, actions, and thoughts. Ask yourself, what did I do well today? What could I improve on? What did I learn from my experiences? Clarifying your values. Use your journal to reflect on your values and the decisions you made in relation to them. Writing about your values can help you clarify what truly matters to you and guide your future decisions. Mindful decision tracking. Track your decisions over time and review the outcomes. Did the decision align with your values? Was it made from a place of clarity or emotion? This practice will help you develop better judgment and recognize patterns in your decision-making process. By committing to this practice, you will develop the habit of self-reflection, which enhances your clarity and decision-making abilities over time. The Stoic practice of virtue, aligning decisions with character. Virtue as the true measure of success. The Stoics believed that a good life is one led by virtue. For them, the measure of success was not external achievements, wealth, or fame, but rather the cultivation of moral character. The key to making clear and impactful decisions is ensuring that they align with virtue. Qualities such as wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. When we make decisions based on virtue, we remove the need for external validation. We stop making decisions based on what others think is important, and instead, we follow what we know to be right. Virtue acts as our internal compass, guiding us toward decisions that align with our true self. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." This powerful reminder tells us that the path to clarity is not found in endless debate or analysis, but in embodying virtue in our everyday choices. When we make decisions from a place of virtue, we don't second-guess ourselves. Our actions are grounded in integrity, and as a result, we feel confident in our decisions, even when the outcomes are uncertain. The Stoics believed that virtue rather than external factors, was the ultimate source of peace. When we focus on cultivating wisdom and integrity, we become more confident in our choices, no matter what external circumstances arise. How do we bring these Stoic virtues into our decision-making? Here are some practical principles to guide you. 1. Wisdom. Take time to reflect on your decisions and gather the facts. Be cautious of impulsive decisions based on emotion. Wisdom means thinking carefully, understanding all perspectives, and considering the long-term consequences. 2. Courage. Sometimes making the right decision requires courage. It means doing what is right, even when it's uncomfortable or goes against the norm. Courage in decision-making involves standing up for your values and making choices that align with your true character. 3. Justice. Make decisions that are fair, balanced, and consider the well-being of others. Justice is not just about legal fairness, but about treating people with respect, integrity, and kindness. When you make decisions, ask yourself if they promote fairness and respect for others. 4. Temperance. Temperance is about balance and self-control. It's easy to make decisions based on immediate gratification or desires, but true clarity comes when we practice restraint and think about the long term. Temperance allows us to make thoughtful, deliberate decisions, rather than reacting impulsively. By integrating these virtues into your decision-making process, you build a solid foundation for clarity and confidence. You'll begin to make decisions that not only serve your own interests, but also contribute to the greater good, allowing you to lead a life of integrity and wisdom. Embracing failure, a Stoic approach to learning from mistakes. Failure as feedback. No one likes to fail. In fact, many people go to great lengths to avoid failure at all costs. But Stoicism teaches us that failure is not something to fear. Instead, failure is an essential part of the learning process. In fact, failure can provide some of the clearest lessons about what works and what doesn't. When you make a mistake or face a setback, it's easy to become discouraged. But the Stoics understood that how we respond to failure is what matters most. Failure is not the end. It's an opportunity for growth. When we can detach from the emotional sting of failure and view it as feedback, we can make better decisions moving forward. Seneca said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." This perspective on failure allows us to approach challenges with resilience. Instead of feeling defeated, we see each setback as a stepping stone on the path to wisdom and clarity. Failure doesn't define us, it refines us. One of the most important practices for learning from failure is reflection. After a setback, it's crucial to take the time to reflect on what went wrong and why. Reflection is not about blaming yourself or others. It's about understanding what led to the mistake and how you can adjust your approach moving forward. By reflecting on your decisions and their outcomes, you build a cycle of continuous improvement. Each failure becomes an opportunity to learn and grow. The Stoics emphasized that we must be honest with ourselves in this process. We must look at our actions objectively and make the necessary adjustments without self-pity or regret. Reflection allows us to gain clarity on what went wrong and how we can make better choices next time. By doing this consistently, we sharpen our decision-making skills and become more adept at navigating life's challenges. A key element of Stoic wisdom is reframing the way we perceive challenges and setbacks. Instead of viewing failure as a personal defeat, the Stoics encourage us to see it as an opportunity for growth. Life's difficulties are not obstacles to our happiness. They are opportunities for us to practice virtue and strengthen our character. This shift in perspective is powerful. By embracing challenges as opportunities to learn, we not only reduce our fear of failure, but also increase our resilience. When we reframe failure, we remove its power to control us. Instead of avoiding challenges, we lean into them, knowing that each one is a step toward wisdom. The power of clarity. Making decisions based on virtue and reason. The Stoic decision-making framework. Now that we've explored the Stoic principles of clear thinking, emotional detachment, and virtue, it's time to look at how we can apply these principles to our decision-making process. The Stoic framework for decision-making is simple yet profound. Make decisions based on reason, virtue, and your values. 1. Start with clarity. Before making any decision, take a moment to pause and clarify your goals. What is your ultimate objective? What values guide this decision? This step ensures that your decisions are grounded in purpose, not impulse. 2. Evaluate the situation. Consider all the facts. What do you know? What do you not know? What assumptions are you making? By removing any assumptions or emotional biases, you allow reason to guide your decisions. 3. Align with virtue. Ask yourself, does this decision align with my values? Ensure that your decision is consistent with the Stoic virtues of wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. When you make choices based on these virtues, you make decisions that are not only clear, but also morally sound. 4. Accept the outcome. Once you've made your decision, accept the outcome, regardless of whether it's successful or not. Understand that you can't control every result, but you can control how you respond. Failure is not the end. It's an opportunity for growth. By following this framework, you'll find that your decisions become clearer, more aligned with your true values, and more resilient in the face of life's challenges. Mastering clear thinking for a better life. In conclusion, clear thinking and effective decision-making are within your control. By embracing Stoic principles, you can learn to detach from emotional reactions, make decisions based on virtue and reason, and find clarity in even the most difficult situations. You don't need to rely on external approval, nor do you need to control everything in your life to be successful. By mastering your mind and focusing on what you can control, you'll find peace, confidence, and a deeper understanding of your purpose. The path to clear thinking begins with knowing who you are, what you value, and how to align your actions with your true self. When you practice Stoic wisdom, every decision becomes an opportunity for growth. And the more you apply these principles, the more confident, clear-headed, and effective you will become in navigating the complexities of life.